In terms of the guest vocalists that you have on the record, first of all, like, what a curated group of people. Interesting in their Americanness as a bunch.
Yeah.
But could you talk a little bit about, were these pre-existing relationships, or were these folks that you were just inspired to include because of their voices? Like, what drew you to each of them individually?
I already knew Steve Earle, and I've played on stage several times with Steve, and we share a manager, so we're quite friendly. And he was an easy ask when I wanted someone with an American compositional skill set to write the music for the first track, Kansas, which Steve also sings. The others, I'd met Taylor Goldsmith of Dawes and I'd met Bruce Springsteen once, but I didn't know them in the same way. But once I identified that they were the right voices for the specific parts, it was a case of our manager, who's a chap called Danny Goldberg, who's been around for a very long time and knows all the other managers. This is the wonderful thing. It was his job, his artistry, to make the connection with the other managers and put it in such a way that it was attractive to the artists. And they said yes. And then Fiona Apple, Fiona sings a song called Letter from an Unknown Girlfriend on the record, and she turns in this incredibly passionate, painful performance. And I had heard her do a similar job on my song, The Whole of the Moon, about 6 years ago on an American streaming TV series. And I was very struck by the power that she brought to that song. She brought to it something that nobody else ever had. So when I wrote this song about Dennis, Letter from an Unknown Girlfriend, she was the voice that I thought of. And again, it was the manager who made the contact. And of course, Fiona and I were in touch directly while she was doing it, and in a very nice way. But it was the manager who made the contact. And, you know, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I played the Hopper record to an old school A&R man at one point. He's a guy called Dave Bates. He was the A&R man, among many other acts, for Tears of Fears in the 1980s when they did Shout and Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And he's an old mate of mine. And when I was about halfway through the Hopper album, he asked me what I was up to, and I shared what I was doing. And he said, I'd like to hear it. And I sent it to him. And his feedback was he loved the record, but he thought I was doing too many different voices myself. And he said, I think you should hand over some of those voices to other artists. And so that led directly to me inviting Bruce Springsteen to contribute and Taylor Goldsmith, and by extension, Fiona. So that was some very good feedback from Dave Bates.